Hey everyone, welcome back. Today I want to do a follow-up video of Dungeonmans because I feel like the first one that I didn't really showcase quite what I enjoy so much about the game and what I think is some of the best parts of it. So I've been playing this game for a little while. This is my 5th or 6th character on this world. He is now up to level 15. I think I've started getting a feel for the game, and I just thought that I wanted to show some of the mechanics that become available later in the game as you start playing, which you won't necessarily know about when you start, which is some of the things that makes it really fun. So as I mentioned in the previous video, and as becomes very apparent right from the beginning of the game, is that you want to build up your academy, because the way that you build up your academy, you enable uses for future Dungeonmans as they come into play. One of the cool things about this is, I showed you last time, the graveyard, where you can see who your previous characters were. Let's forget Pete for a second. You can see who your previous characters were, where they died, and that is important because you can go back to those dungeons and you can actually reclaim some of your items for those heroes. So here you can see that the Brave Juiceless was a Necromancer of 6th level, while DuhblinnZA was a Dungeonmans of the 8th level. And some of the things that happens is that when some of these creatures die, one of your Dungeonmans die, they will actually sometimes unlock or drop a weapon that you can go and pick up, which then becomes that character's weapon, and that becomes something that you can put in your vault. So the Academy Wargear Vault is one of the ways that you can carry over weapons between champions. So you can do something like take out items. Let's see if I can quickly find... There we go. So this is a mana-touched Frosty Luminous Champion DuhblinnZA's War Reaver. So this was actually one of the weapons that my DuhblinnZA character was using for quite some time as part of his dual-wielding build. And when I died, when I finally managed to get back to that area in the dungeon and defeat the champion that killed him, I got this weapon, and they add extra stats to it. So the +3 strength, +2 skills, +2 foom was not actually originally on this weapon, but because now it is a champion's weapon, they get this bonus, and then you can place it in the Wargear Vault, which means that future champions can now also come back and use these weapons, which I thought was a really nice mechanic. One of the other things that it does alongside of that is actually when you go out back into the world and you go and look at the villages that you can level up. So one of the things you can do with villages, you'll see this one says 1 out of 1. You can get what they call purloined inventory, which you can get from bandits, and you can use these to upgrade the villages. And when you upgrade the villages, you get better items from them, but you also get a discount. But you up the town's prosperity. And as such, whichever character you use to give the most prosperity to the town, when they die, they get a statue. And they get a little statue inside of in the village, which I thought was a very nice touch. It helps kind of maintain this idea that this is a persistent world and you have your different characters that move through them. And in fact, I actually believe this one has a different statue. No, it does not. Maybe I should be able to find another town which has a different hero in it, but now I'm probably going to have to go quite a bit further down than I have. Let's see. This one is 3 out of 3. There we go. So this is a town that was actually championed by DuhblinnZA. So just another nice touch that the company adds. Ooh, there's a piggy. There's a piggy here. So this is something that I haven't done yet, but apparently I can buy flavorful pre-baconized bacon and hogs of misdirection. That is very interesting. Also, apparently, I wonder if I can give this town... Oh, there we go. So this town is actually maxed out, so when I say I want to give them purloined inventory, they tell me that won't be necessary, friend. We're as prosperous as we can be. I knew that. I just wanted to hear you say it. It's just small little things like the way that the dialogue works in the game, and just some of the jokes that they make. I just really enjoy it. So, as I mentioned, also, your battle poultry is one of the other things that you also get in the game. So when you get your poultry, you can equip an egg. You can use your battlebird whistle to spawn it. You give it a name. I'm just going to stick with chickpea for now. One of the things that you can do as well is you can look at his character sheet. So they have things like pluck, generation, tough, and ranged and melee. Tough gives them more health. Swift makes them faster. Melee is more melee damage. Range is more range damage. Pluck gives them... I actually can't remember what pluck is. Pluck gives them a bonus to their stats, if I remember correctly. Generations, you can breed them. As the generations go up, their base stats increase, so their base level of health, their base damage, and so on increases. They can also learn abilities. So if we have a look at one of my stronger poultry that I have equipped here, let's see who will be... Let's see, I think Wibbles is my strongest one. If I go and look at Wibble's stats, you will see that Wibble is a pluck 4 generation 5, and he has a bunch of very useful abilities that you can learn. These abilities you learn through the use of stakes, which you can pick up from different enemies as you fight them. So this adds another element to building up your abilities. Along with that, one of the things that you can also do is with the consumables that you actually get the ability to unlock things like Scroll of Bolster Armor, Fortify Armor, and Strengthenize Armor, and the same for the weapons. And you can use these to add new abilities. You will see that if I just go and use one of these on any item, you can see that they have enchantment slots, and you can see the number of enchantment slots that you have available, and you can build up your armor this way with a little bit of randomness built into the way that you do it. Much later into the game, you also unlock set items, which tend to have much better stats, but my experience has been, I think I'm 50 or 60 hours into the game, and so far I only have 3 different set items, none of them matching the same set, so still not entirely sure exactly how strong that makes you. As the game progresses, you also have the ability to skip dungeons that are a much lower level than you are. I don't think I have any dungeons like that open on this map still anymore, but it's a nice touch by the game that adds in just a little element of speeding through some content that would otherwise be fairly tedious. So when you go to a dungeon that you are too strong for, it will tell you that this is a waste of your time. Why don't we just assume that you modulated everything in there and give you the rewards? Which again is a very nice touch. Main purpose of the game is, as with most things, there is a storyline, and eventually you want to make it into, I believe, if I've got this right, I haven't finished it yet, so I might still be wrong on this, but there is a tower here somewhere, which is the Dread Spire Tower. Let's just avoid these battles, because now this is becoming a very dangerous area. I believe it's already legendary, which is the most dangerous an area can be. So, oh, there we go. The Dread Spire, I believe, is meant to be kind of like the last dungeon in the game. But from what I've gathered, I haven't tried this yet, from what I've gathered is eventually you can actually have the map reset, but keep the academy the same, which means you can generate new content for you to play. But you also unlock what is called maps to certain areas. This is hidden dungeons of higher threat levels with very specific stats. I think it's meant to be kind of like an endgame content. But essentially what this comes down to is you need to search for this map, or use this map to search for the dungeon in the overworld, and then you can take it on to get even better loot than you would have on the normal maps. The game adds another element of researching content to find even more dangerous dungeons as well. I haven't delved into that too deeply. I'm still working on my first playthrough to try and actually finish the Dread Spire. But another cool thing, so as I mentioned about just the way that the game handles legacies and telling stories, Some of the strongest enemies in the games are the Ancient Kings, and sometimes when you defeat them, they drop an item which allows you to add renown to a weapon. And by adding renown to a specific weapon, you can have that weapon level up alongside of you. The more high-level enemies you defeat, the stronger the weapon gets. And you can add a storyline and a name to this weapon as well. So I did assign a name to this one, but I'm not actually seeing it anywhere. So I don't know if I accidentally cancelled out of it or if there's maybe something that I missed. But I like the idea that you can now have this weapon which is so well renowned that it's got a story attached to it, a history and a name that future Dungeonmans can actually chase after. Apparently, according to the patch notes, if a champion defeats you while you have a renowned weapon, there will be different dialogue if they see that you have this renowned weapon on you, first of all, but also they will take that weapon from your corpse and you will need to reclaim it by defeating them again, this time with them using your strongest weapons against you. So just small little touches like this inside the game I find is just really enjoyable and makes it a lot more fun than a bunch of other roguelikes that I've played in the past. Games I genuinely enjoyed Ancient Domains of Mystery a lot, but for me that game was one of those that it kind of always feels like you need a wiki or an experienced player to tell you what to do and how to play. It's very difficult to get into with no prior knowledge. Maybe that was just my experience. I'd be keen to know what other people thought about it. But what I like about Dungeonmans is it just feels a little bit simpler. It feels a little easier to get into. And I just really enjoy the way that they're telling the story and engaging the characters into the world with this little bit of persistence that gets carried over. So that's all I really wanted to add for today's video. I just felt that with my first one, I didn't quite do the game justice, and because I kept dying so early the whole time, I didn't get to show off a lot of content. So I figured maybe what I can do is I figured I can just show off a little bit. Maybe I will leave this for a future video, showing off some of the skills and abilities and combos that I've learned that worked very well. And just some strategies I found for playing your first characters and your last characters. So I think I'm going to keep that for a second video and maybe look out for that one. I hope you all enjoyed this. I hope you give this game a try if you're into roguelikes. It really is a lot of fun, and I hope this video did it slightly bit more justice than my previous did. With that, I'm going to have to say farewell. I hope you have a fantastic day. Goodbye.